Welcome to this week's episode of Future Fridays, where we chat about future tech headlines from the week. I'm your host, Wiz, and you can find me on Twitter at WizLikeWizard. Today, we've got three lovely guests who I'll each go around and give a short 280-character intro. And we also have Yael with us, who's a cartoonist, who's going to be live doodling for fun. And you can find her on Instagram at YaelIsms. So, Jessica, we'll start with you if you want to give just a short 280-character intro.
Yes, I'm Jessica. I'm an investor at Soma Capital, a seed stage fund. I also head content for Alpha, a community for women to speak candidly online.
Nice. Curtis?
My name is Curtis Silver. I make dumb jokes on Twitter and write tech articles for Forbes and notechie.com, the latter being more fun lately than the former.
Nice. You and Sarah have something in common.
Yes.
Sarah, oops, I didn't mean to skip ahead. Sarah, you want to give your
Sure.
characters?
Sure. I'm Sarah Tollemache. I'm a stand-up comic. I also do dumb jokes on Twitter. Now that's all I do because I used to travel, but now I don't.
We all say good things on Twitter.
Yeah.
Great. Before we get started today, I just wanted to share that all of the headlines we're going to cover today come from a newsletter I work on called This Week in Creative Tech. Each week, we share about 30 headlines from the week, ranging from totally crazy future stuff to more current, interesting stuff. Anyone watching today can sign up at bit.ly/join Future Fridays. So we're going to start today with a game. This round is worth 5 points, and there's going to be a really awesome prize for the winner at the end. This round is called Real or Fake. Basically, we've got 3 headlines here that I'm going to read out, 2 of which are real and 1 of which is fake. The job for you all is to come up with which one you think is the fake headline. So number 1 is Bots of New York post computer-generated people in their quotes. Number 2 is Aquify could bring Wi-Fi-like tech to the underwater world. And finally, number 3, Twitter reconfigures trending algorithm to combat K-pop stans. So we'll do hands up, and we're going to do rock, paper, scissors, and you just shoot 1, 2, or 3, whichever one you think is the fake headline. So fist up. Curtis, your fist up? Nice. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. We've got 1. What is that, Jessica? That's 3. And Sarah, we've got 2. The fake headline is number 3. So that means 5 points for Jessica. Yes, although Twitter maybe should have considered that. So we'll move on to the first headline for today. So this one is, are mood-altering sunglasses the secret to staying calm in troubling times? So this headline is about a new eyewear startup from California called Future Mood. And it claims that their glasses have an effect that's, what they say, less subtle than CBD, but more subtle than caffeine. They use a new technology called halochrome, which was developed by German lens manufacturer Zeiss. And the tinted lenses apparently alter your mood by manipulating light and color. So they have 4 different colors, or what they call auras. Each one is designed to elicit a specific feeling. Green is for relaxation, red provides energy, yellow is for focus, and blue refreshes your mind. Interestingly, if you read the article, the writer actually said that he felt some interesting effects from wearing the glasses. So putting it out to you all, I mean, from coffee to cannabis, we're constantly ingesting different substances to alter and improve our moods. Where does technology fit in? Could technology or immersive, maybe AR, VR experiences replace our morning cups of coffee, or maybe even our edibles to relax in the evening for those of us that are in Canada or legal states? What do you all think?
I think tech can probably affect our mood. I just know I've done a virtual reality game and I thought it was very relaxing, but I don't really see these glasses doing anything, especially if they said anywhere between what CBD does and coffee. I've taken CBD. I don't feel anything when I've taken it, or I'm always skeptical that it's a placebo. I just see these things as being like, I don't know, something that you'd find in Trash Island in the middle of the ocean months from now. But I do like the idea of wearing something kind of like a please do not disturb on your face. So I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think, like you said, I think that there might be a placebo. I also am always dubious of like articles that are published about a product because I'll look into different meal programs and always hear that they work, but then they frequently don't. And so I think sometimes looking at more anonymous or like Reddit style reviews or things like that are more helpful. I think also it'll depend on like whether it's societally accepted. Because I feel like people, if they really feel like they need this, they might need to wear it to work or like when they're driving. And so there's all kinds of potential negative consequences there. And so I think, or maybe they've countered that as well, but just wanting to think more on like how this would disrupt or interrupt their broader day.
Yeah, I think I agree. The glasses themselves are kind of dumb. They'll probably end up in the trash. But the concept of AR or VR, messing with your head in the same way that coffee or a depressant does, is realistic. Anything that prompts a psychological change in your brain could have the same effect as a stimulant. Like Sarah said, you could slip into a VR world and feel relaxation. You could slip into a VR horror thing and feel stimulated. Start your morning off with 10 minutes of VR horror instead of a cup of coffee. Save yourself the acid reflux. But I don't know that it'll come to market through things like this. I mean, this is not possible for like people like me who wear glasses.
Yeah.
It's a little cheap, it's a little cheesy, but the concept itself is realistic in a sense. But I don't think it would have long-term effects. Like you couldn't like put on the glasses, take them off, using the last example, and then an hour later still feel anything or still have the effect like you would if you smoked a bowl or drank half a pot of coffee. So
Yeah, I mean, building on that, we do, since the turn of time, have been using things to alter our mood, and I'm sure that it'll continue. I wonder what the future of this does look like and like how technology plays a role. One thing that I've seen that's interesting is in Blade Runner, both the book and the movie. Actually, maybe it doesn't make its appearance in the movie. In the book, for sure, though, there's a device that they can like dial in their moods, and they have like this like whole book of different codes that they can like program in that correspond to very specific moods. So like all kinds of like different ranges of like happiness and like different feelings, motivation, whatever. I mean, 100% something that I would use if it's possible. Like instead of like a cup of coffee to me in the morning, I'd love to dial in like stoked for the day. How do you all see technology in the future showing up to help enhance our moods? I mean, Curtis, you made the joke of starting your day with 10 minutes of horror. I don't know. Is there a world that you, is there a world that you envision that we use technology more than ingesting things to enhance our moods throughout the day?
I recently saw this company that's a little bit different, but it's basically building a Fitbit for moods. And so that was kind of my first exposure there. I think the first step will be finding a way to track it, since you obviously can't create what you can't measure for the most part. And so I think having different tracking technologies will be kind of the first step. I think also I worry partially that people become too reliant on it. I think about coffee, and I have definitely a caffeine addiction. That one time I couldn't get my caffeine pills, and I literally like just was not able to do work, not because I was tired, but I just had this horrible headache that I'm sure everybody has felt. It was the caffeine. And so wondering if there's any like, I don't know if there's true addiction side effects here, but even like people become so reliant on this that they're not, I think coffee's a little bit different, it just wakes you up, but even if they become so reliant on this, they're not able to actually modulate their own moods. And so what happens if they like left the dial in the car and then they went on to vacation, and then they don't get to buy a new one. And so I think kind of like the reliance is something that would be of concern to me.
What's the company you saw that was mood tracking?
I don't know if they're stealth or not, but they're still pretty early, so they're still like building out their product. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see what Jessica was saying, that because like sometimes with your Fitbit it says, oh, you haven't walked enough steps, you should get up and walk. And there's been studies about how to make yourself happy, like doing gratitude, checking in with people that maybe they're like, wow, you haven't really texted anybody today, maybe you should reach out to somebody. So I feel like that would be a really good thing for a lot of people, just to be more on top of their, I don't know, people that deal with depression on a regular basis.
Yeah, a good dose of guilt coming from the My partner has that on her. She's got a Fitbit, and every time she looks at it that it says she hasn't done enough steps, she just sighs and looks at the sky and reluctantly gets up. But I mean, that's what technology does already for us, alters our mood anyway. I mean, everything we use now, we are addicted to a lot of things, our phones and social media. So, I mean, it's not too far of a stretch to, replace stimulants and depressants with technology, because I mean, we're already doing it.
Totally. All right, we'll move on to the first cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, you want to share what you got?
Yeah. Here we go. Do you see it?
Yeah.
So this is a play on, do they make me look fat? Like looking happy is something that society wants you to do. A second interpretation of that one. Yeah.
Replace with Google Glass. Yeah.
Along the same vein. What else? Based on what Sarah was saying, it's like a sign of what mood that person is in.
Oh, I'd love that. I've always thought,
That's what I thought about.
yeah, I've always thought voicemail should have those.
The type of mood that you're in, it's like, don't bother me today because I'm irritable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another skeptic.
They're actually like $275.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool. Thank you. All right. We will move on to the next headline of today, which is Deutsche Telekom's digital lifestyle exhibition explores the future of connected homes. So this article was about Deutsche Telekom, who's one of the world's largest telecommunications company. They presented an experiential concept exhibit called Digital Lifestyle, in which they explored what the future of connected homes could look like. So they did a bunch of research on the home environment, and what they came up with was 3 trends that they see for the future. One is what they call homedulgance. So the idea is that our homes more and more, especially in today's time, are becoming places of retreat, a lot more exciting and shareable and self-indulgent places. So how does that lean into that even more in the future? The second trend they looked at is what they call soft digital. So this is electronics basically seen as extensions of our environment, but done so in a subtle, unnoticeable sort of softer appearance, so not being too overt. And the final one, which was interesting and I personally didn't expect, was esports as a game changer. The idea is that kids who grew up playing first generation of game consoles now have children of their own and are learning to play together as a family. And there's a world in which the connected home could support that more than it does today. Another interesting thing that they explored is how tech will affect the design of homes. So if you think 70 years ago when TVs were first entered into homes, it really changed the whole layout of the living room. Like the focal point became the television screen. And we've kind of swung the pendulum the other way now, where people deliberately don't have the TV as the focal of their living room. But you can imagine how technology could actually reshape the design of many other areas of the home, things like the kitchen or even the foyer or whatever. So putting it out to all of you, I mean, even before COVID, staying at home sort of became the new going out, right? We traded our movie tickets for things like Netflix and Hulu, and traded our dinner reservations for things like Uber Eats. Will the homedulgence trend continue after the pandemic dies down, or is this just another fad for those who can afford it?
It's another fad. Well, I wouldn't say it's a full-on fad. I mean, parts of it are, like anything luxury is for those who can afford it. I mean, I think I'm against connected homes and smart homes for a technologist. I've written more cynical stuff against smart homes than for smart homes. I don't trust the devices. I don't like them. I think they make people lazy. And I think they collect too much information and know too much about us. You know, if your home is your escape, then it should be somewhat private in a sense. Shouldn't be mapped and tracked by Google and Amazon devices and Facebook portal and all over the house. I have no smart home devices besides my Wi-Fi printer, maybe. I can only count that. I think future homes will be made in a way that all that will be integrated. So like mesh routers and stuff will be integrated within the walls, or it'll be set up to be more technology friendly, where you don't have to like rip out the old Mercury thermostat to put in a Nest, that kind of stuff. Like those slots will already be there. I mean, we're already seeing now like USB outlets and those kind of things.
I think I like that point too around biometric data. I think in general with the rise of telehealth, obviously from quarantine, and even just people in the US being a little bit more comfortable potentially with digital tracking, mostly for COVID contact tracing. And then obviously with connected homes and everything that's going on there as well, there's going to be an opportunity secondarily for better, hopefully secure, hopefully ethical management of biometric data. But definitely agree there is this psychological pushback. I know personally, I don't have any Google Home devices. I've just heard so many stories, Alexa as well. Even just like whenever people say Alexa, the whole thing turns on. I'm like, how am I supposed to like do calls? Like I know people with that name. And then, you know, obviously don't want them like listening into my life regardless. And I'm one of those people who has like the like thing across the camera that I like slide over after video calls. I think also there's going to be an interesting aspect of people getting bored at home and looking not for like experiences that they can predict, because if they installed it all, they know what's going to happen or what can happen, but even like not like surprise things at home, but just something that's more fun and being able to have fun at home in a more spontaneous way, that's less boring. I don't know what that'll look like, but there could be an opportunity for that. And I think the last thing too is, like you mentioned, it's so hard to set up things at home. And I was listening to a few podcasts where Ben Thompson was saying that he was trying to set up something and like he couldn't even like figure it out or something like that. And so I think that there's definitely an opportunity to make it much more user friendly, especially for the average user, and also hopefully more accessible to and actually solving real pain points versus just like, I want to be able to clap my hands and turn the lights on. So I think those are some potential opportunities.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Curtis and Jessica. Like, it is kind of scary to think how much more information technology can get from you, especially in the privacy of your own home. Like, I don't know. Sometimes my husband and I shit talk about our friends. Like, I would never want them to know like exactly what we were saying, or like, you know, when you go, you're talking about something you like, and then it's kind of weird that you see it as an Instagram ad like 5 minutes later when you go on your phone. But and then also I remember growing up, like my parents, when we moved into a new house, there was like the building development or whatever put in a sound system. We never used it once, and it was like this ugly thing. So I kind of picture exactly, if it's not user friendly, it's just going to be this thing that you bought with your home that you paid extra money that you never use. Like, and then I don't use any you know, Siri or Google Home stuff either. But I do like the idea of having, you know, in the kitchen, I think it could be quite useful. And then as well as like, you know, you want to heat your home before you get there. Like that way it's not cold. So I like aspects of it, but not completely. I don't want my full home to be that way.
Yeah, I was thinking, I've thought about that too. I've written about it once at least, I know, a closed loop control system. So when you mention these future homes and Homedulgance, and you know, I like all the automation bits, you know, like running the oven or keeping stock in the fridge and those kind of things. But everything, those are all connected to the cloud, and nothing's on a closed loop system. So if that stuff was like built on a closed loop system where it was all within your private space, and you could control your home digitally, and you could, you know, we had Star Trek doors or whatever, and a holodeck would be nice too. But just like our Wi-Fi printers are just for us, you know, have all those other connected things be just for us and just on our closed loop, not sending data to the cloud, not connected to Google, but have that automation there. And I think might be a possibility with the way future homes are designed as well.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see the pendulum swing on that as well, where we've gone from like pretty much everything processed in the cloud now to more of the smart home manufacturers realizing that privacy is paramount and having more of that stuff run in a closer. It'd be interesting to see. Great, let's move on to game number 2. So this one is multiple choice, and this is worth 10 points. So Curtis and Sarah, your chance to take a lead over Jessica. We've got a headline here with a missing word, and one of the 3 options below is the correct word to complete the headline. So I'll just read it out and just write down your answer, and when everyone's ready, we'll just show them to the screen. So this one is, Pentagon documents reveal that the US has planned for a blank rebellion. Is it a social media rebellion, a Bitcoin rebellion, or a 5G rebellion? Just give a thumbs up when you're ready. All right, what do you all have?
Yep.
Social media, 5G. Jessica, what's yours? Oh yeah, sometimes the backgrounds mess it up. 5G?
5G, yeah.
The correct answer is in fact Bitcoin. So
wow.
Yeah, this is interesting. This headline was about recently the US Department of Defense revealed that they had run a war game scenario on exactly this. So it was a rebellion, a Gen Z rebellion that uses Bitcoin to undermine and evade the establishment. The war game that they crafted was set in 2025 and is basically intended to reflect a plausible depiction of major trends and influences in the world regions, according to them. The program was conducted by students and faculty from the US military's war colleges. And the same group actually war-gamed scenarios involving Islamist militants and anti-capitalist extremists. So pretty interesting. We'll move on to the final headline for today. So this one is HumanIPO. Participate in human IPOs of people you believe in. This headline is about a new company called HumanIPO, which lets people sell up to 500 hours of their time on an open market at a 1 hour per share price of their choosing. So it's basically splitting up your time into equity and being able to trade that on a market. The 2 co-founders came up with the idea in 2018 after a conversation on how, according to them, the best asset at any company is the people. Basically, investors will make a bet on those hours being worth more in the future, either to them or to someone else. Share owners are able to redeem their time, either with things like a one-on-one meeting, for an example, or coming and giving like a talk. So you can imagine famous speakers that charge, hundreds of thousands of dollars to give short 1 hour talks. You buy an hour of someone's time today for $200, and 10 years from now, they're the next, Hillary Clinton, and the time is worth $500,000 for that hour. They already have thousands of investors and a pipeline of 600 applicants. I actually have a friend who's one of the people who IPO'd, Tristan Pollock, and he sold out, which was interesting to see. Question to you all to kick things off. I mean, VCs often do talk about choosing to invest in the founder, not the company. Is owning shares of a person the right way to go? What strange new realities will trading human equity hold for the future?
Very interesting. The idea of, I worked a little bit in banking and mostly on IPOs. And even then, like whenever some of these companies were like not pre-revenue, obviously, but well, maybe some biotech companies are, but a lot of them were still cash flow negative. And so it was hard to value them. And it really was very pie in the sky, like, oh, I just feel like it's 16. And so let me just reverse engineer some charts to show that it's supposed to be 16. And so it's always a weird process of valuing companies, but I guess it's fun. It's a company, but it's a really weird idea of like valuing, like, I know it's not a human life, but like it is their time, but like still just like valuing a human. And so I think that's a super interesting concept. And like, how liquid is it? Like, how does it grow over time? Like, what if somebody is improving or like not improving? How is the market supposed to know? Obviously, they're going to prevent some of that information if it's negative from getting out, or they're going to blow up the positive information on themselves. So that's pretty interesting as well. I wonder if this might be a better like not charity, but like nonprofit model. Because I think there's a lot of people these days who are like opening up their calendars to support like Black founders, which is super great. And so it sounds like a little bit like that idea, but obviously in like a for-profit sense and obviously with a broader, longer term mission. But I just always don't know how I feel about that, like valuing a person. I guess it is their time, but even like having a market rate, I guess maybe that could be interesting because obviously people are always, I'm working with a bunch of interns and they're thinking like, oh, what is my hourly rate? And so I think people want more transparency around hourly rates, but I don't know if there's enough people to really deem it a market rate. And there's obviously some self-selection there too.
Do you remember that app People, Peeple?
Mm-hmm.
I don't.
Yelp for people. It's just kind of like that. All I wrote in my notes for this is dumb. It's like a rich VC entrepreneur Fiverr. Be more of a networking tool. I mean, is there real money changing hands here?
Yeah, people are submitting that they're buying the hours from those people that put them for sale on the market.
So in your example, if somebody's bought at $500 an hour and they reach $500,000 an hour, is there an ROI on that?
Yeah, it's basically for those who IPO themselves today, they're committing to delivering those hours in the future. It's like, hey, like I'm selling these hours and I guarantee that I will give whoever owns these hours in the future. So if 10 years from now, that person is the next Hillary Clinton as an example, they've signed off that they're going to give out those hours and now they're worth way more.
Yeah, they're not good.
Yeah, I mean, the hours way of like doing the human equity is interesting, but I mean, I don't know, I can see a future down the road where this idea of like owning equity in humans, and maybe it's not time-based, takes a different form. I mean, what do you all think about that? Like, is there a crazy future where this morphs into something more and we're all part of a larger open market? Like, it feels like a Black Mirror episode.
The morality of that is really bad.
Yeah. But also, doesn't it just seem like it might be a volatile market? Because let's just take, I don't know, in stand-up right now, there's a well-known comic that was on top of the world and just had sex allegations. And then, like, how are you supposed to know that? Yeah, prices went down. If he was on this, like, as a human IPO, you're like, how am I supposed to know that? But I mean, I probably wouldn't have invested in him because I wasn't a fan of his stand-up. But, you know, and then also just like, I personally would hate to be a human IPO because that is so much pressure to put on yourself to live your life of happiness. To know that, oh my God.
Checking your stock price every day. Yeah. It's like, what's my self-worth?
I thought about signing up just to see how much I can bomb it.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. It'd bring new types of insider trading as well.
Yeah, it'd be
friends who know you're about to go through something weird, like decide to short your stock.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane.
Any final thoughts before we move on this topic?
It's like a VC entrepreneur Facebook.
All right, cartoonist?
All right. This one was a bit harder, but I got some. Got this first date. This kind of was what you guys were talking about at the end. There's always the guilty mother in my cartoons, so she's back. Supposed to be Elon Musk.
I don't know if I'd want my mom to be one of my shareholders.
No.
Hey, she's gonna hear that. She's always been a shareholder. And here's another application.
That's a good one.
Yeah, there's some truth in that one.
Oh boy. All right. Cool. We will end today with one final game. This one is worth 10 points. So again, a chance for Curtis or Sarah to take the lead from Jessica. This one is fill in the blank, but we're doing a fun twist on it where we're not actually looking for the right answer. We're just looking for you all to come up with something really funny. So 10 points to whoever comes up with an outrageously funny answer. And I'll give you all something like 30 seconds to come up with something, so take your time. If you happen to know what the correct answer is, write that down as well, and you'll get 5 bonus points. So this headline is, delivery drones could hitchhike on blank to massively expand their range. Just thumbs up when you're ready. Jessica, you ready?
Got nothing, but I'll put something down. Cool.
Okay, we'll go one by one this time. So whoever wants to start. Curtis, I'll just volunteer you. 5G conspiracy theories. Delivery drones can hitchhike on 5G conspiracy theories to massively expand their range. Nice, timely, relevant. Jessica?
Sorry.
I can't.
I think it's
You want to just read it out? You just read it out.
Yes, it just says Bitcoin because I thought of the question before.
Nice. Sarah?
All right. I think my lack of knowledge, hopefully that will make it a funny answer. I have no idea. So I just put planes.
Planes.
Well, I spelled it wrong.
Delivery drones can hitchhike on planes to massively expand their range.
Yeah.
Plausible. Maybe not as funny though.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give 10 points to Curtis, which means that Curtis is our winner for today. So the correct answer was, in fact, public transit. Yeah, this one's pretty interesting. So people have been talking about delivery drones for a while, and one of the big pushbacks or concerns was that because they run on batteries, their range is actually quite low. Like I have like a little home drone, and like you can only fly for 15 minutes before it dies. So like how many deliveries is this drone going to make, especially when it's carrying a payload? So what this group of researchers at Stanford suggested was, instead of the drones just like flying around everywhere, they could actually just hop on buses, because buses are massively, like already a massive network of vehicles that are like on schedule and go to like all areas of the city. So the drone would basically just ride the bus to like whatever sector it's going to, and then hop off, deliver its package, and jump back onto another bus. So instead of flying around all the time, it only has to fly from like the bus's closest point to the house and back. And in this study that they did it in San Francisco, they found that the drones were able to, I had the number, they were able to extend the range by like 10x or something like that, quadruple their range. So it's actually like a pretty interesting future. We might see this in cities soon. Awesome. So for everyone watching today, this is where you can find everyone online. One last time, thank you so much to the guests. And before we sign off, just a reminder, all the headlines from today came from This Week in Creative Technology, bit.ly/join Future Fridays. Thanks so much for joining today, everyone. This is super fun.
Yeah. Thanks for having.
Loved it.